Welcome to I Am Well podcast. I am your host, Gemma, a nutritionist and mindset coach passionate about all things health and wellness. I'm going to take you on a journey to discovering what health means for you and how to create a life you love living. I'm on a mission to uplift those who feel overwhelmed with what it means to be healthy, reminding you, my listeners, that nutrition is only one aspect of health, and empower you to live your best life on your terms. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to I Am Well podcast. If I am sounding a little bit sleepy today, or if I make a few mistakes, it is because my son was up all night last night. It was ridiculous. We've switched. My son is now 2 years old. He doesn't turn 3 until November, but we switched his cot around. He's been in a cot for a while now, but he can now get out of the cot. We discovered it because we saw one night on the camera him literally do this like Houdini out of his cot. Like he was like climbing out. He did it so gracefully, actually. I was pretty proud. But we were like, okay, we've got to get rid of the cot now. He's too big. He literally can climb out. So it's not working. So he switched around the cot, and we've put on this little like I don't know what you call it, like a little like still like a little gate thing on the side of the cot, so that, you know, in case if he rolls over, he doesn't fall out, but he can now get in and out of himself safely without having to climb. It's like transitioned into like a toddler bed. So really, like I thought when we did that, he was going to all of a sudden be just getting out of bed all the time. And I thought it was going to be like a huge nightmare for us. But the few last weeks that we've done it, like he has been fine, and he's so good when he goes to bed. He literally puts himself to sleep. We get him a bottle. He is out cold. Like he's always said to us, like when he gets tired, he comes to us and says, bed, I want to go to bed. And we're like, oh my God, like, okay. Like he's so easy. Like when we had Summer, when she was his age, she was such a terror to get to sleep. Like we would try so hard, and, you know, she would fight us like any other toddler would. But Brooklyn, he's always been like, no, I'm going to go to bed when I want to go to bed. I'm ready. Give me a bottle and put me in bed right now. So this came out of the blue last night. All of a sudden, he was just hopping out of bed and going up to the door, banging on the door, screaming, and then he'd like give up and just like lay on the ground next to the door. So he actually for once wasn't calling out mummy, which I secretly loved. He was just calling out for daddy. And I was always like, oh, Shane, that's you. So he had to go in. But he did it throughout the whole night. And I think it got to about 2 a.m. because I was trying to be like, we were both trying to be the strong parent to, you know, hold our own and be like, no, Brooklyn, and just take him back to the bed and then close the door and leave. It was kind of like, it reminded me of like Super Nanny, you know, how like she always used to like take the kids back to bed or take them back to wherever it was, like the naughty corner. Not that I do a naughty corner. And then she'd be like, okay, and just quietly, patiently take them back every time they left. That's what we were kind of doing with like him. Every time he left his bed, we would just quietly bring him back to bed and be like, okay, good night, and then leave. And we thought it eventually worked, and we were like, oh, yes, we did it. We made it as parents. But then it was at 2 a.m. and he just was playing up again, doing it again. And he just wanted Shane to lie on the floor next to him. And I said, I was just like, Shane, let's just bring him into our bed. I was like, just bring him into our bed. There's no point you hurting your back on that, like on the hard floor, sleeping next to him. Just put him in our bed. And literally put him in our bed, and he went to sleep like that. So we had been trying so hard since, you know, when did he go to bed? It was like around 7. So since 7, he was up every few hours screaming, crying, and we were putting him back until about 2 a.m. And that's when we gave up and we were like, yeah, okay, hop in our bed. So today I am feeling a bit like, I always had planned that I wanted to film this podcast today. So I don't want to not do it, but I'm also like, wow, I'm really like spaced out a bit. When you like have like such lack of sleep that you kind of feel a little loopy. So if I say words wrong or if something doesn't make sense, I might not pick it up until I'm editing this. So just go easy on me. Let's see how I go. Just give me some grace. I'm really sorry, guys. Anyway, on that note, I do want to mention that Balance, my group program, it opened up this week. I'm so excited. So excited because I've got these boxes coming, getting delivered. I've already approved the boxes, and the boxes are going to be these health journey starter kits that I'm creating for all the women that join this program. I'm sending them out with a whole bunch of goodies in there, some supplements, workbooks, diaries, like everything that I could think of that needed to kickstart your health journey with me. I'm so excited to teach more women about this lifestyle of fasting because I've tried other so-called diets out there. I've tried different sorts of diets, and it just always felt really restrictive. And this is the first thing I've ever tried where I really understand it and I really get it, because it's not a one size fits all. You take this lifestyle, it's not about counting calories and making sure you only eat this certain amount of calories and burn this much. It's actually about you take a whole bunch of tools from this fasting lifestyle. Like if you've listened to my Fasting for Women episode, all those different tools, how you can have different types of fastings, you get to pick and choose when you want to do them and when it suits you. And today I'm going to talk to you about metabolic switching, because this is a really key part of the fasting lifestyle. And if you're not doing this, then it's not going to work. So I really want to I'm going to dedicate this whole episode to metabolic switching and really get down to the nitty gritty of it, how to do it, how to, as if I was your coach, like you are listening right now, as if I am your coach and I am helping you create a fasting lifestyle, this is what I'm doing. So anyway, that's what I'm teaching through Balance. The first 2 months, we're going to go through some mindset things. We're going to go through what's held you back in the past. I'm going to teach you a bit about Adlerian psychology because I really love that way of thinking. I should also dedicate an episode to that too. Anyway, I'm going off topic. And then the other modules are all about women's hormones, understanding your hormones. I talked a little bit about that in the last solo episode with me. And then fasting for you, your gut, and how to implement this into your lifestyle. And then the last month, we are all going to do a basic reset fasting together. And when I say together, it's not because I think, that might make you feel like, oh, it's like a fasting boot camp kind of thing. But everyone is going to be at it at a different point of the fasting reset, if that makes sense. So if you think of it like a calendar, everyone's going to be starting on a different day because it's going off your hormonal cycle. So some women may have a pretty regular period. They may be at ovulation time. So they're going to go start at the ovulation time in the calendar. Whereas there might be some people who don't have a period and they're menopausal. Well, they'll be following it a different way. So we're all, and I teach that. I'm going to teach it, and we're all going to go through it together. And I promise you, you will see that you will feel the benefits by the end of that month, because I have, and it's incredible. Like, I am tired today, but I still have the energy to do this because I understand now how fasting works for me and my body, and the certain foods that you should eat within your eating window as well to help promote it more. Because if you're not eating the right foods in the eating window, then it doesn't really, you're not really feeling the full benefits. So let's get stuck into today's episode. If you do want to hear more about Balance, or you're interested about this group program, you literally have until the 1st of July to sign up. I'm really cutting it off the day before, but you do kind of want to get in early, just because I've got those health starter packs getting sent out. I do want you to receive those, at least a week before we start, because at least, then you're getting all these, if you get to start fasting like straight away, you get the supplements and stuff to help, and you get to understand, you have the workbook right in front of you. So yeah, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I'm just saying I do think it would be best if you could sign up earlier rather than later, because otherwise you're going to get your starter kits sent in the mail a bit late. Anyway, so for today's episode, let's talk about metabolic switching. Okay, so what is metabolic switching? Let's start there. Metabolic switching is going in and out of the two energy systems that we use in our body. So we use sugar burning system and we use a fat burning system. The sugar burning system is when we eat and we burn that, because what we eat gets broken down into glucose, and we use that glucose as energy throughout our day. So we're constantly in our sugar burning system all day, because we're eating, we're burning it, and then we eat again, we get energy, we burn it. That's how we work throughout the whole day. When we go to sleep, if you're at least putting yourself in at least an 8-hour fast, because now everyone's different, but they usually find it's around about 8 hours is when our body starts to switch over into the fat burning system. And we want to switch over into this fat burning system because every time we switch into the fat burning system, our body produces ketones. And ketones is what our brain needs to function as well. Our brain needs 50% glucose, but then it also needs 50% ketones. So it's really important to switch in and out of these two systems. So when we're eating during the day, we're in the sugar burning system. When we stop eating, and we at least stop eating for about 8 hours, we switch over into the fat burning system. Those are the two systems, and that's what metabolic switching is. It's going in and out of those two. Okay, so how it works is we need to give our body, as I said, at least 8 hours to switch over. And the longer we stay in a fasted state, in the fat burning state, that means we give our body more time to go searching for any of the stored fat. When our bodies are really clever, and if we're eating too much glucose and we're just getting bombarded with it, our body has to go find places to store it. And if you're seeing fat on your body, you should actually be thanking your body, because that is such an amazing thing that your body is smart enough to go and store it as fat. Now, if you're seeing people that eat unhealthy, but they just look super skinny and everyone's always like, wow, they must have a great metabolism, there is also another thing in the industry called skinny fat. And this is where your body performs differently. So when you eat, instead of that extra glucose getting stored as fat, it's actually getting stored in your organs. And one of the first places for it to go is your liver. So you may not be seeing the effects of the fat on you, but it's actually more dangerous to have that skinny fat because it's going straight to your organs. And if it's getting straight into your liver, then you have more of a chance of getting non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, high cholesterol, and heart disease, more illness that way than if your body is storing fat. So I just want to keep that in mind, because I think we have this really distorted way of looking at health, and we just think, oh, if they're skinny, they must be so healthy. That's how I thought for a long time, but that's just not the case. You could be super skinny, but your body could be actually storing the fat straight to your organs. And this is actually a lot more scary when you think about it, because you don't have that indication that, okay, I'm getting too much glucose into my body. Because at least when you see the fat, you're like, oh, I'm eating too much. I'm getting too much glucose into my body. I'm overwhelming my body too much. It's a sign. If you're not seeing that fat, you don't really know until, all of a sudden you're diagnosed with something. So it's a lot more scary. So I don't actually I know everyone's kind of like, oh, I wish I was skinny fat, but it's not really the better option. You still have to watch what you eat. Everyone does. I don't think anyone, even if someone was like, yeah, but I have a fast metabolism, like at the end of the day, that you're still not going to be better off. And it's not about your fast metabolism. It's probably that your body is storing it straight to your organs. And this is very detrimental to your health. So I want to reiterate here that we don't always want to be in just one system. We don't always want to be in the sugar burning system, and we don't always want to be in the fat burning system. If we're in the sugar burning system constantly, that means that our body is always getting glucose constantly, which means our body's always producing insulin. And there comes a time, so what happens when we produce the insulin? It goes out to the glucose, grabs the glucose, and stores it in the cells. Over time, if your body's getting bombarded with this glucose, your insulin keeps getting produced by your pancreas, and it's overworking, and all of a sudden the cells just start to not respond to the insulin because they're just getting used to it. It's like they see it time and time again. They're like, all of a sudden they just kind of go blind to it. They just don't respond to it. And this is when you get insulin resistant. Yes, so as I said, you don't want to be in one energy burning system and without the other. You want to be switching into both. If you're in the fat burning system too long, that means your body is constantly producing ketones, and ketones are great, but we don't want to produce too much ketones. There's like a way you can test your ketones. You can get I know like diabetics have the blood glucose monitors, and I've had them before too myself. Like I love them because you can test your glucose, but you can also get ones that test your ketones. And to be in the really powerful state and to take great use of ketones, you want to get a score of 0.5 up to 1. Like that is amazing. Like when you're at 1, you're producing ketones at a really good level. You can go higher, and people that do like 3-day water fasts, 5-day water fasts, like they tend to go higher, but you never want to go above 7. If you go above 7, you're leaning closer into what they call ketoacidosis, which is quite severe. It can literally put you into a coma. Your body goes limp. So yeah, you don't ever want to get to that place. I don't even know if any of my listeners would be ever doing long fasts like that yet. If you ever are, you need to have a ketone monitor to always check that. But I don't recommend doing the longer fasts. I always recommend just sticking with the shorter ones first and building your way up. So yes, so we want to be switching in and out of the sugar burning and fat burning system. Now, why is this key? Like, why can't we always stay in the sugar burning system? As I said, we get too much glucose, we become insulin resistant, we get too much fat stored, and that creates problems. So it is key to any sort of diet that you are living that you always want to go in and out of these two systems. And this just doesn't get told. And I think it makes sense. Like our brain uses 50% ketones and 50% glucose. If we're always in the sugar burning system, our brain's only like getting 50% of the energy it needs, which is crazy. So remember, we need to lean into the fat burning system. And if you are a person who eats really late and then wakes up in the morning and eats again straight away, and you're not even giving yourself at least 8 hours of fasting, that means you're never going into the fat burning system, and that's very detrimental to your health. I think a good key here is to always look back to our primal days. Always remember that, because I like to think of like we forget that humans, we're just like animals. Like our bodies were created for certain reasons. I always think of like David Attenborough and how he talks about animals and how their bodies were designed, and you know how some camouflage because it's a way that they're able to get away from danger. Our bodies are like the exact same, and how it works. Like the way we're designed, like men, the fact that they operate on testosterone boosting every 15 minutes so that they're always able to go. And having so much testosterone for them means that they're always going to have more muscle no matter what they do, which is great back in our primal days because they were the ones that needed to go and hunt. They needed to always have the energy up. They needed to be able to do that. And when you think back for women, we have our cycle. and we needed to dip in and out and have our hormones go up and down so that we can go into like a nurture phase and care for our baby, and then we can, become pregnant. And that was, and like, if you're thinking back to those days, that was our role. I know times have changed now, and for women, our sole purpose is not to be mothers anymore, but our bodies technically back in the primal days were designed that way, and we just need to remember that. I have no idea where I was going with that. I literally just went off a big off topic. So I just wanted to bring back the point of metabolic set points too. I've talked about this before, but this is also really key. We don't want our metabolic set point to adjust. If we keep switching in and out of this fat burning and sugar burning system, it means like when we go away on holidays or something, and you just don't want to think about what you're eating, you just want to enjoy yourself. You don't, every time you book a holiday, you don't want to be like focused on, I need to work out, I need to eat healthy. Like, you just want to enjoy it. There are times that you just want to eat whatever so you can enjoy life. And I get that. Like, there's always that, that rule, that 80-20 rule, that you still want to have that 20% where you can just enjoy food and life and have fun. So if you book a holiday and you go away and you don't think about how much you're eating, you just eat whatever you want to eat, because you've been dipping in and out of this sugar burning and fat burning system, you won't put on weight. Your body won't go crazy and store the sugar all of a sudden, because you've dipped into your fat burning system before. So it means like you have taught your body that you don't have a set metabolic set point. Like, it's always being challenged. It's always being changed. Whereas like if you were someone that was always focused on how many calories you ate, and you kept those same amount of calories for like 8 weeks in a row, and then you go off on a holiday and you don't want to think about what you're eating and whatever, your body is 100% going to store that straight away as fat, because you haven't dipped in and out of both the systems. You haven't switched up your metabolism constantly. It makes sense, right? Because technically, the week before your holiday, say you're doing some fasting, you're in the fat burning system, and then the week of, you're switching into the sugar burning system. So you've already just switched it. So your body isn't going to freak out and store this food as fat because it's used to you changing it up all the time. So I hope that makes sense. But this is why metabolic switching is so key. So if this is something that really interests you and you were like, okay, but how do I start? Like, how do I start metabolic switching? How do I start fasting? As I said, everyone is different, and everyone's going to be at different points in their life of where they are best to start at. I always recommend if you can, it's best to clean up your food first. Remove oils, so the bad oils like canola oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oils. You want to remove all of those oils and stick to extra virgin olive oil, almond oil, flaxseed oil, those kind of good fatty oils. If that was so easy, I guess everyone has already, been working on their food already. So sometimes that can be tricky. This is where the whole mindset part comes into play though. Otherwise, I do recommend you just each week, you shorten your eating window by just 1 hour. So for the first week, if you're used to only having a fasting window of say 10 hours, the next week do 11. And then the week after that, do 12. And keep doing that until you realize that you're doing longer fasts. When you do it gradually like that, it's so much easier and it's not a big shock to you and your body. There's been many studies done where there's been like people obese and they have shortened their eating window to about an 8-hour eating window, and they've been able to lose weight. And in that 8 hours, they ate whatever they want. I don't recommend that, and I'm not promoting that to eat whatever you want when you shorten your eating window. But I'm just saying that it can be done. And sometimes that's all it takes for someone then to feel motivated and keep going. So if you are just shortening your eating window each week, and then all of a sudden you're losing weight, that can give you the motivation to keep going and change what you're eating. And also what I think people don't realize, if you haven't fasted before, what's really crazy is when you do fast and then you eat again. My husband and I, we both experienced this. We don't want to eat processed foods. Like we actually, all we want to eat when we break our fast, all we want to eat is protein. So we just want to eat meat and any sort of veggies with it. But we really both of us really just crave meat and vegetables. And I just wonder, because I always think back of it to primal days, I just wonder if that's like our human instincts. Like when we're fasting for so long and we get hungry, is the fact that all Shane and I crave is meat is because maybe that's what we were used to back in the primal days. Like you wouldn't eat until the men went off and hunted, and then they'd bring back, some animal or whatever. So I just wonder if that's like because of our human instincts. Like it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But it's really crazy. It's so, until you do it, until you do the big fast too, like Shane and I did a big fast, I think it was either a week or two ago, where it was 36 hours. And I get how it can feel, because my whole life I was told like, you don't want to fast because it's not good for you. You need to be eating constantly. Like I still see like, nutritionists and dietitians out there saying like, you need to eat, don't skip meals. And I've always had that in my mentality, my mindset. So I think when we did that big fast, there was a little part of me going, oh, this can't be right. This can't be good for you. And then I was like, no, Gemma, go back to all the research, go back to the PubMed journals. They all show the results. Like this is right. This is what we were designed to do. So it's okay. Keep going. And when we both got to like 36 hours, both of us weren't hungry. And I think in that moment, it scared me. I'm not going to lie, it scared me, because I was like, oh no, I should eat. Like it's been 36 hours, I should eat. So I forced myself to eat, but then I thought about it after, and Shane and I were both like, we felt amazing. Like, and we both actually, I don't know, we just craved it and we wanted to keep going. So next time we're going to try a 48-hour one, because when you do 48 hours, that's when you get a big dopamine reset. And I can't wait to feel that and the benefits of that. If anyone's ever experienced depression or anxiety, when you do a 48-hour fast, apparently like a week later, a lot of people end up telling you how amazing they feel. So I can't wait to try that one. And I feel a lot more prepared now, knowing that like, okay, we did 36 hours. It's possible. Like we can do the longer ones now. So if you're looking at starting, I recommend do not, if you're like literally starting off the bat, do not go to a 36-hour fast. Just do intermittent fasting. So 13 to 15 hours, do that. Once you achieve that, you're feeling really good, then you can switch over to 17 hours plus and like autophagy. And then there's more. But it's all about doing it slow. With metabolic switching, because remember, you can't always keep fasting. You have to break it. And I've heard this time and time again that people that do these big fasts, they become addicted, because when you produce ketones, it feels like you're like this, I don't know, superhuman. Like you just have so much energy. It makes you feel amazing. It gives you clarity. I think of it like that movie where with like Bradley Cooper, and he has like the pill. Limitless, where you have like the pill and all of a sudden it's like you're using more of your brain and stuff. It's like that's what ketones do to you. So I get it. It can get actually quite addictive, but you do have to break it. And there's different types of ways that you can do metabolic switching. You can do it on a weekly basis or you can do it on a monthly basis. For women that have regular cycles, so that have, periods constantly, not constantly, once a month. If you're having periods constantly, that's not right. But periods once a month, and you're ovulating and stuff, you need to actually go off a monthly basis. You can't, as I said, you can't be fasting the week before your period. You just won't get the benefits. It'll reverse the effects. So you actually have to go off a monthly basis. But for women that are getting like perimenopause where they haven't had their period for like over 100 days and menopausal, and for men, you get to use metabolic switching on a weekly basis, which I think is so cool. And I wish I could use it on a weekly basis because I just feel like you'll see the benefits so much faster. So on a weekly basis means you could do something like 5 days of intermittent fasting, so just like 13 to 15 hours fasting. You could do one day like a big fast, like a 24-hour fast, and then one day no fasting. That's a pretty stock standard one. If, as I said, like if this is your first time doing it on the big day, like on the big 24-hour fast, I would just try to get to like 17 hours. So do 5 days intermittent fasting, one day do 17 hours, and then one day do no fast and see how you go. For the women that have to go off the cycle, that I have created a calendar. If you're in the private Facebook group, you'd see that. But what you kind of want to do from day 1 to 10 is you can switch. You can do whatever fast you want in there. I recommend just doing intermittent fasting if this is your first time. Chuck in 1 or 2 longer fasts, like an autophagy fast, so 17 hours. And then day 11 to 15, this is when you're ovulating. So you don't want to be doing any really big fasts. I just switch it back to the intermittent fasting, 13 to 15 hours. And then you've got this small window of opportunity from day 16 to 19. And that's where you can do bigger fasts again. So you could, if this is your first time, just switch up to the 17-hour fast again. You could even try and push yourself, maybe go to like 18, 19 hours, see how you feel. And then the week before your period, don't fast. And then as soon as you get your period, you're allowed to fast again. But everyone's different. And I have heard a few women that when they get their period, they still feel really hungry and, for the first few days. And if that's the case, don't do any big fasts. Just stick to intermittent or don't fast. The best thing about this is you can pick and choose to what suits you. Now, the one thing that I do here, I have heard so far, is that people have come to me and said, I can't fast. I get to 15 hours. I feel really dizzy. I feel really shaky. I have to eat. And that is a sign of one of 3 things. So number 1, you have way too high stress. So too high of cortisol going through your body. When you're having too much cortisol and you're fasting, your body doesn't like this. And it can make you feel really dizzy, lightheaded, really shaky. So you need to actually hone in, use those apps that I was telling you about, if you've got an Apple Watch, get the app called Stress Watch so you can see when you're feeling really stressed, because sometimes, as I said before, you don't actually know that you're stressed. So get the Apple Watch. If you've got an Aura ring, or just really try to listen to your body. If you're feeling really drained, tired, that could be a sign that you're producing too much cortisol. And producing too much cortisol can happen anytime. You could just be on your computer, looking at work, on your phone, looking at TikTok, watching a movie, and you could be creating too much cortisol. So that's something that you have to really, really consider when you're doing these fasts, is to make sure you're not having too much cortisol going through your body. Because when you're fasting, technically you're already producing cortisol. So you don't need that extra added stress to your body. Really bring in those tools like meditation, journaling, visualization, affirmations. Bring in those tools that can really help calm your system. Another one that a breathwork practitioner taught me is rubbing your arms, give yourself a bit of a hug and rub your arms up and down, and that really releases the cortisol as well. It's like giving yourself a big pat on the back and a hug, and it just instantly makes you feel like you're released it. And don't forget about that powerful oxytocin as well. The more love you give, the more love you receive, the more your cortisol will go down. The second point is to why this could be happening is you could be really low in minerals. So when you're doing fasts, especially the big fasts, you want to bring in more magnesium, sodium, and potassium. And I've talked to people like this before, and they've been like, oh no, I take magnesium, so it's fine. And I'm like, yes, but you might need more. You might, when you're fasting, and it might not just be magnesium, you could be lacking in sodium and potassium. I use the brand LMNT, and I highly recommend it. They have this like salt that has a bit of a flavor. I think it's like raspberry watermelon or something flavor. It doesn't break your fast, but it will help replenish your body and give your body back those minerals, because when you're getting into these longer fasts, your mitochondria is getting reactivated again, and for your mitochondria to start working again, it's kind of using up your minerals. So that's the second point. Third point, if you are feeling this and you're not stressed and it's not the minerals, it could be your toxic load. So the toxic load on your body. Over time, we have so many toxins around us. Like if you follow me on Instagram, please go to my Instagram and see the list. That is the list of obesogens that get stored as fat in our body. And it can range from anything from the beauty products you're using, the cleaning products you're using, the food that you're eating, and we just don't realize how much it's affecting our body, and our body is storing it as fat. And if you've had these toxins over time build up, it's going to be really hard for your body to switch into this fasting mode. So those are the three things I just want you to work on. If you feel like you're getting really dizzy and you're stressed and you're not feeling like you can make it when you're doing these fasts, go back to, are you stressed? Are you depleted in minerals? And the third thing and I've just gone blank. And the third thing of toxins. I can't believe I just forgot that. This is my brain, guys. Whew, I can't wait. I'm in my nurture phase, so I'm not fasting this week. It's not my favorite phase because it forces me to wind down. I cannot wait until I go back to my fasting phase again. So go back to those three things if you are feeling this way. Otherwise, reach out, send me a DM, and I'll see how I can help. That's all for today's episode. I hope that helped, and I'll see you. Well, I won't see you, but I'll talk to you in the next one. I also want to remind you, if you are loving these episodes, you feel like you're getting some knowledge from them, I don't want to be that person that's like, hey, help me out here, but I also do. Can you please help me by rating my podcast? On Spotify, I think you just give a star rating, and on Apple, I think you can write something. You can write a rating and also give the star rating. It literally takes like less than a minute to do. So if you're listening to this, it would mean the world to me. Every time I see a new rating, I go, oh my God, yay, like someone actually is listening to me. I'm not doing this all for nothing, I know, like, I hate being those people that like beg and ask for help, but it would mean the world to me. So yeah, don't forget to give me a rating and review. I would absolutely love that. Anyway, that's enough for now. I'll leave you to it. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you all in the next episode. Bye, guys.